former Australian of the Year Grace Tame took aim at Scott Morrison during a stand-up comedy routine in Melbourne tonight. Grace Tame has made her debut in comedy. While Prime Minister Scott Morrison officially kicked off his election campaign on Sunday, the 2021 Australian of the Year appeared at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival as part of a show where the Liberals were certainly the target of the jokes. The tone of the night was set before the show even started. As comedian and DJ Andrew McClelland warmed up the crowd, he quipped, "By the way, we can vote the government out on May 21st, and was met with loud applause and cheers. The show featured a panel of comedians who addressed serious topics in a hilarious way, including climate change, housing affordability, misinformation, and social media, Australia Day, and gender equality. Advocate for survivors of sexual assault and 2021 Australian of the Year Grace Tame has made a debut at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Picture, Lisa Marie Williams. Tame received the loudest applause as she was introduced on stage in front of hundreds at Forum Melbourne, with comedian and podcaster Dan Ilic pointing out she was the master of the side-eye. After Ilic, Gabby Bolt, Alice Fraser and Dane Simpson gave their monologues, it was Tame's turn to take to the mic. Tame joked that she wasn't going to get political and apologized to those that had come to see her roast Mr. Morrison, who was a giant self-saucing comedy pudding and a joke dessert that ices itself. She added that he just grabs the ukulele all by himself, referring to his musical performance in a recent 60 Minutes interview that was roasted online. Tame received a very warm welcome, and her introduction featured the mention of her famous side-eye at Scott Morrison. Picture, NCA Newswire, a Gary Ramage. Tame went on to tell stories about characters from what she said was her favorite childhood television show, My Little Pony, but was clearly about Mr. Morrison and his government. It was especially clear when one of the characters shouted in Old MacDonald's farm, which of course was a subtle at the long-standing rumour Mr. Morrison soiled himself at Engadine McDonald's after his beloved Cronulla Sharks lost the grand final in 1997. Mr. Morrison last year went on radio to clear up the rumour, declaring it was the biggest urban myth ever. NSW One Nation leader Mark Latham was next in the firing line, who Tame said was my favourite comedian. Tame mocked Mr. Latham through a series of jokes told about an air fryer, which involves a basket case inside a pressure cooker that has no filter. Forum Melbourne ahead of a Rational Fear live show. Hundreds of people filled the seats to laugh at Scott Morrison and his government. Picture, Dan Ilic, Twitter. In a joke about someone claiming Tasmania wasn't a real place, Tame said it was okay because she lived rent-free in Latham's head, along with domestic violence campaigner Rosie Batty, the 2004 federal election results, and pretty much anyone who wasn't a white man. Tame returned to her seat after her monologue with the crowd roaring. "Keep making noise," she yelled. But Tame's jokes weren't over yet. Former ABC journalist and independent candidate for Goldstein, Zoe Daniel appeared as a special guest. Independent candidate for Goldstein, Zoe Daniel and Grace Tame. Picture, Zoe Daniel on Twitter. Pictures and social media posts from her opponent, Liberal MP Tim Wilson, were shown on a large screen, as the comedians mocked what they said was a sudden attempt for him to appear as a climate change advocate. One picture included Wilson holding a brick with a somber expression. He had captioned the photo, "When you hold the future of the world's carbon-neutral energy storage in your mitts." Tame offered an alternative, saying the picture showed he was nervous about the upcoming federal election, and this was the brick I just s*******. Ahead of the gig on Sunday, Tame took to Twitter to explain that she was hesitant on whether doing the show was the right move and clarified comedy was not a career move, as advocacy was always her first priority. "There are risks in doing this, as there are with just about anything else in this mad life," she wrote as part of a thread. "Things have been especially tough lately. But I reckon we could use a laugh. Either way, the joke's on me. And if I fail, I'll pick myself up and move on. You never know, unless you try." Tame had began her monologue at the show thanking her fiancé Max Hirii, explaining that she had been practicing all her jokes on him, constantly asking, "Is this funny?" The show, which also included Lewis Hobber and Vijayarajan, was recorded for a podcast episode of Irrational Fear.